Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us for tonight's show. Tonight we have another amazing interview about a new film on the Angel platform called Bird Boy. Bird Boy is a heartwarming story of a young boy in a tough situation who ends up taking an ostrich under his wing. So if you have not seen the movie, you can become an Angel member by going to angel.com/birdboylive. You can find out more information about the film there and also become a member to watch the film there as well. So before we jump into this interview, we have the director and the star of the film to talk to. We're going to cut to the trailer.
Who's that?
My grandnephew, August.
How many times has this kid been handed off?
6.
6?
Your mom must be having a great time in heaven, huh?
She's gone, and nothing we do can bring her back.
The most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you figure out why. The chances of that ostrich egg hatching are slim to none.
It's coming. It's time, it's time, it's time, it's time. Yes!
What happens when it gets too big to handle?
If I had wings, I'd use them. Fly! Fly! Fly, Quabas! Uh-oh. That's your bird?
Can we get a ride?
Be careful! Don't upset him!
The substantial injuries suffered by these children provide due cause for the bird's immediate removal to Steenkamp Farms.
This bird is a member of our family. You were tearing this kid's heart out.
We'll get out of here and never ever come back.
August? They're gone.
If we ever get lost, we'll be able to find each other. Yay! Go, Quabas!
He's riding it?
Yeah, he's riding it.
Who does that?
Well, it's a thing here.
Now streaming exclusively on Angel.
Welcome back, and I'd like to also welcome our two guests to tonight's show. That is director Joel Soisson and the main actor himself. I'm going to attempt your first name, and then you're more than welcome to correct me. But your first name is Litlhonolofatso. Am I close?
You are very, very close. I'll give you like 80% accuracy.
Okay,
But you're
80%.
very
I'll take
close.
that. Do you mind saying your full name?
Litlhonolofatso Litlhakanyane, also with my last name.
Okay. Beautiful. Now, throughout this interview, just to help myself, I know you go by Bobo. Am I cool to call you that throughout tonight's show?
Yes, it's perfectly fine.
Great. Thank you, Bobo. I appreciate that. But both of you, welcome so much. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
I would love to first jump into just your connection to the film, how you came to this story. Joel, I would love to start with you, but when did you first stumble upon this story? You're also the writer, so I'm sure you have a bit of a backstory with Bird Boy.
I think stumble's the perfect word, actually. I was actually researching another script, another project, and came upon this YouTube video, which showed about 100 ostriches on a stampede through a small city in China. And it was just like hilarious and very strange. And I obviously wanted to learn more about it. And it turned out in that case, the birds had been accidentally released by somebody who left a gate open or something at a meat farm near the city, and mayhem ensued. And I just wanted to kind of use that as a hook to get into a story about our relationship with animals and doomed animals in particular, because these ostriches were fated to become, somebody's dinner. And so I sort of retrofit the story, decided that the protagonist needed to be a kid who had enormous empathy for these creatures because of his own circumstance, and that became Bird Boy.
Well, I think we're all we're all better that you stumbled upon this story and decided to pursue it as the writer director. So thank you so much for that, Joel.
Thank you.
Bobo, I'd love to ask you a question. So when you first were approached with this story called Bird Boy, about a boy who finds a friendship with an ostrich, what was your first reaction to the project?
My first reaction, I was like, wow, because it's really a heartwarming journey. And also, while I was viewing the cast members, I saw that I was going to be working with Taya and Tony. And by the way, Tony and his son were in the same school. So I was like, this is going to be really cool. So that opportunity was just amazing. And I loved the whole film process.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. Joel, of course, I mentioned earlier, you wrote as well as directed this project. Were there any scenes or something that changed from the page to the actual shooting of the film?
Yeah, a lot of it was. And it's a very organic process making a film out of a script, and you really look at the script largely as a blueprint to build a structure on top of, and that structure changes over time. And my collaborators, Pantea and Bob Weinstein, were it's Pantea Jaderi. This is going to be a whole episode of name mangling, which we will,
beautiful names,
which we will do throughout. But they were very, very helpful in sort of guiding the process. And I will say that there was one opportunity that was missed, and a lot of people are going to say thank goodness for that, because it was a kind of a gross out scene. But doing more research on the internet, which is always perilous, I came across a little tidbit that when ostriches are threatened, they spit.
Oh, no.
And I thought this was a great defensive maneuver that our hero, played by Bobo, whose name in the film is August, could employ against the bullies. And so there's a sort of a bullying scene in the movie. And in my original version, Bobo spits at the head bully. And you'd think that that was going to create, an instant fist fight. But what ensues is that everybody on the playground ultimately gets in on the action, and it just becomes a wild spit fest of everybody spitting the biggest gobs of mucus on each other, and they're just flying across the camera and splatting in people's faces. And it was, for me, a signature moment, but everybody who read it went, "This is disgusting. You cannot have this in the movie." And I'm just like, okay, next movie, maybe.
Okay.
Bird Boy 2.
That would have been quite a scene to act in, Bobo.
Bird Boy 2.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I'm hoping.
Bobo, I'd love to talk about the theming of the movie. Of course, your character August is dealing with loss and is feeling alone and isolated. And really, this friendship with this ostrich is something that it pulls him through this moment in his life. What was it like as an actor having to work with an animal as your co-star? What was that like?
To be honest, at first it was hard because the character is totally different, like personality and what they've experienced, it's different. Like I'm a different person compared to the character I've played. So it was really hard to tap in the character. And Joel really helped me, I won't lie. During the audition, I think there was a scene, an emotional scene. And doing that scene, I haven't told him this, but it was really hard to tap in it. It ruined my whole day. But on set, everything was nice. Joel made it fun. And yeah, everything went really smooth. It was my first time working with a bird. So at first, I was really nervous. I was scared because I heard that I'm going to be riding on the bird. So I was really scared. But the production made it really, really comfortable for me to work around them. And before we shot, I actually got to meet the birds, spend a few hours with the birds, and got comfortable with them. So everything went really smooth and I really enjoyed it.
No, I love that. And especially going the extra mile and spending more time than you even need to with the birds, getting comfortable with them. That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Joel, this next question's for you. To Bobo's point, my prior question asking what it's like having an animal as a co-star. What is it like as a director working with an animal? How do you give an animal direction?
Very carefully.
Yeah.
It's always a challenge. There's an old adage in the film business that is, you should never work with children or animals on a film. And this is the second film that I've done exactly that, and I love it. There's just something beautifully free about the process that you're not sort of stuck on people who have routines and approaches and have a way of doing things. And the most important thing for working with an ostrich is you have to be very fast on your feet, particularly the DP, because you can't block them. You can't tell them where to go. They go wherever they want. And so we picked a cinematographer who was an accomplished documentary filmmaker who was super agile with the camera. And on top of that, we used for the first time a camera called, I think it's the Nikon Z8, if I'm not mistaken, that is very small, takes great pictures, but also has a very sophisticated autofocus. And so that also helped a lot, predictably. And the other thing in dealing with an ostrich that was very sobering from the get-go is when we learned how lethal they are. They really can, as we point out several times in the movie, kill a lion.
Wow.
Their claws are incredibly dangerous. And so here we are convincing our lead actor to basically act like that bird's his best friend. And, we had a very robust safety situation on the film, and the trainers were very good. But animals can be unpredictable, and you have to be able to know when they're becoming agitated or fearful. And then you have to really clear everybody off the set. And so that's something we were constantly vigilant about, particularly me being reliant on the trainers to know exactly when that switch was thrown. So yeah, it was a mixture of excitement and a lot of trepidation working with ostriches.
One part of the film that I absolutely loved was how well done the emotional scenes were, whether that's a deep sadness in a scene or an overwhelming joy in a scene. I feel like this movie had beautiful highs and also beautiful lows, because I feel like without the lows, the highs really don't sing in a movie. So I love how this movie executed that. I'd love to ask a question about emotional scenes. Bobo, what is it like as an actor to prepare for, a highly emotional scene? Like, do you have to prepare for that, or do you feel like it comes naturally?
I feel like it depends. because for
Yeah.
some actors, they have like a technique, and that technique is just like I forgot the tech, but they have this specific technique. So it depends. Certain actors prepare different. Certain actors do different rituals. And with me, I didn't really like prepare for the scene. I just read through the script, understood what was happening, and just rocked up on set. And yeah, I didn't really like have a ritual where I was like, I need to do this and this and this before an emotional scene.
And I'm sure Joel there as the director was able to very much guide you through the scenes and all of that.
Definitely. Joel is an incredible director. I've worked with a lot of directors, but sorry to them, but Joel is number one. Joel is my favorite actor. Director. He is fun to work with. His jokes are funny sometimes, and he makes it very easy to like work on set.
No, that's wonderful, and I'd love to also jump into one of the main themes of the film, which is very much like a family by choice sort of theme, for lack of a better phrase. But I'd love to talk about I'd love to talk about two of the characters that August interacts with the entire movie, and that's Emmy and I'm probably going to say the name wrong, so please correct me. But is it Thabo? Is that how you say his name, the
Yes,
character's
yes.
name?
Tabu.
Thabo. So Emmy and Thabo. Joel, do you mind giving just an overview of these characters and really what they added to the film?
Yeah, that actually was the relationship that I had the easiest access to because they're a childless couple that had spent a good part of their career working in a kind of a thankless trade where they made money but didn't particularly change the world in any significant way. Um, their lives, in a sense, didn't really matter. Now, when you have children, you can focus that energy on the next generation. But if you don't, you kind of have to look to your own life a little bit more, I think, and say, what's meaningful? How do I become somebody who belongs in this world? And uh, so in this particular case, this couple decides to leave all of that behind and start a new life on a subsistence farm in South Africa. Um, Now, I'm actually similar in the sense that my wife and I don't have kids, and we sometimes struggle with meaning about what is it that we really should be doing to, make the world a better place to live in. So um, I thought that was a great starting point for that couple's relationship, and wondering, well, how would I react to a child suddenly being thrust upon me when I had forged a life that was not child oriented in the slightest. And Taya really responded to that idea of being forced to become a different person. And so uh, uh, we went with that, and Tony too seemed to uh, uh, grab onto it really well, but it didn't hurt that they're both extremely gifted actors. So that was that whole aspect of the story was kind of fun and a bit of an exploration for me.
No, I wholeheartedly agree. I think it came across beautifully on the screen, especially adding the craziness of not just accepting a young boy into a family but also a bird. It's like just I think it just made for the wackiness, and I thought it was just really fun on screen. So I liked the uniqueness because it's a, for lack of a better word, a trope that's been done, like the whole
Mhm.
family by choice sort of thing. But I think Bird Boy did a really, really good job making it unique and impactful. So thank you for that.
Well, there's
But
one thing I would actually
yeah,
add on to that, which I found really fascinating. I didn't expect it when I wrote the story, but only discovered uh, when we were prepping the film in South Africa, is that, you know, the concept of being an orphan is somewhat different in South Africa than it is here, in the sense that, as it was explained to me, and Bobo, please correct me if I'm wrong, but if you're an orphan, you don't go to an orphanage, you go to the next relative in line. And then if they can't handle, you go to the next one after that, and the next one after that, and the next one, and next one, and you're pretty much passed around like a fruitcake. Um, and hopefully you land in a family that is ready to embrace you. But sometimes that doesn't happen. And in our case, in our story, the central character lands in the lap of a couple that is utterly unprepared.
yeah. Into that, Bobo, talking about your other co-stars who played your father and mother, adoptive father and mother in this movie. What was it like working with them?
Working with them was it was amazing, and me and Taya did this bet that on set, each time she dropped them an F-bomb, she owes me $1. And yeah, I would say I would say I made a decent amount after that. So overall, after the film, she paid me $100. So like working
There
with them
you
was like
go.
fun. Yeah. So she
You
dropped,
were underpaid, Bobo.
yes. And I believe she robbed me because the
She
amount of
did.
times she drops an F-bomb on set is crazy. So I believe it's way more than that. But it was nice. It was really fun. And even though like the scenes were really hard to do and the scenes were really tense and emotional, but then the crew, the cast, Joel, everyone made it so fun behind the scenes. It wasn't really a thing of we get to set action, we shoot, then we're done. No, we built like a bond. And I believe that bond is still there. And yes, hopefully we meet with each other soon. And sometimes I meet with some of the people I've worked with on Bird Boy. And it's really nice to like see them on another project and really like catch up. So the bond is unbreakable, and yes, that's all I have to say.
No, I love that, especially when you mentioned the behind the scenes family nature of the set. I think that's great. With that, I'd love to actually jump into a few questions about behind the scenes, getting a look behind the scenes with you both. Um, Bobo, I'd love to start with you, but you mentioned earlier having to ride an ostrich. Of course, it looks so good in the movie, but of course, with a lot of things, I'm like, is that real? So, what was the behind the scenes of riding an ostrich? Was it real?
For some scenes, it was real. For some, it was not. But here in South Africa, riding ostriches, it's something that's done. Some people like ride
Really?
them to race, and yeah, they do it to like race around while they are on them. And I was really terrified. I was really terrified, but the animal crew, they made it really comfortable and fun with. And I really got used to it. Even now, if they bring an ostrich and they're like, get on that, I won't even be scared. I'll just get on it with no fear. So it was really nice. It was a nice experience. And I would definitely do it again.
Yeah, that's great. And to be able to put that on your acting resume, how many actors have been able to be like, oh, yeah, no, I know how to ride an ostrich? You know, some can ride horses and everything else like that, but an ostrich, that's you're in a club of your own there.
It's totally something different. Because also they are like fast. And
Yes.
with some of the scenes, we used the puppet. And I was like rigged on a harness. And there wasn't really much of a difference from riding on the puppet and the actual bird in terms of movement. So
Mhm.
I really got like used to it. Even it was really uncomfortable at some point, but then at some point it felt like a norm. So yeah, it was really fun and nice. I would definitely do it again.
Oh, that's great. And Joel, to the whole movie magic behind that whole scenario with the ostrich and everything else like that. What was it like? I think it was so well done, so it's hard to tell. But I think CGI was used
Mhm.
with like the dancing scene and a few others. What was it like behind the scenes, going back and forth between using a real bird and CGI and a puppet and everything else like that?
Well, that was really the trick from the get-go, is knowing that we were going to have to use some visual effects for safety reasons primarily, but
Mhm.
also for ethical reasons. We never wanted to put the bird in any harm's way. Um, so that became sort of a question of, can we sell it as a
Mhm.
visual effect? And a lot of times we go in one scene between the effects bird and the real bird so quickly and so frequently that it really is hard to know which is which, I think. And sometimes we've had audience people going, that bird, that one, that's not real. That no, not buying it. And that'd be the real bird.
Yeah, yeah, it
So
was really well done.
you get into that sort of like, isn't it sort of situation. Um, when it came to the dancing, in particular, that was frustrating because these birds love to dance and they do exactly what they do in the movie, except you yell, roll camera, and they go, mm-mm, no, not feeling it. So we didn't get them dancing. But what we
Mhm.
did manage to do was film them offset dancing and then calibrate every movement that the CG bird made to the real bird's dance movement so that we got that lifelike quality. So
Wow.
to say that they weren't there dancing, well, they weren't in in reality, but the visual effects were exactly what they would have been doing.
No, that's that's really fascinating. And like I said earlier, like I was also doing the same thing, a double take, if you will, of like, was that real? Or I was like, it was really, really well done. So kudos to of course your direction and your crew and your VFX artists and everything. It was really, really well done. But to that, another question about your research into ostriches, and I know you shared a fun fact earlier, but were there any other sort of, oh, I didn't know that about this bird, facts that you came across during your research?
Uh, Most of the facts I came upon were shared by our uh, animal trainer, the head animal trainer, Luke Cornell, who basically runs. Bobo can probably speak better to this, but he's basically, if you want to deal with animals in South Africa, you go through Luke Cornell. He's the guy who knows everything. And incidentally, as lethal as ostriches are, I asked him, like, is there an animal that you would not ever work with? And I expected him to say maybe an ostrich because they're one of the most lethal animals out there. And he goes, a chimp, because they are actually not only dangerous, but they are vicious. And
Wow.
they will turn on you without cause and just do terrible things. So he just simply won't deal with them. As far as an ostrich is concerned, the most important thing to realize about an ostrich is that their brain is smaller than their eyeball. So they're not really something you can train. You can lead them in a direction. You can get emotion out of them, surprisingly, because their eyes are so big and so expressive. But as far as getting them to do a specific thing like a dog or a horse, even, no, that's just not in the cards.
That's I did not know that about the chimpanzees though.
Yeah,
Like I
I
feel like
was
that's the one that people assign so much like humanity but to them, you know?
I
So
am
you would
dying to
think,
do a chimp movie, and that just poured cold water over it. That's why Planet of the Apes and all those are like dudes in
yeah.
suits.
Thank you so much for that answer, Joel. I'd love to talk about the filming location. Of course, you guys worked in South Africa. You mentioned a bunch of the crew and cast being from South Africa. Bobo, you currently live in South Africa, so I'll start with you. What was it like, kind of using your own backyard as a film set?
It was really nice, and here in South Africa, it's sort of a comfort zone. So that was also it was like really nice to work around home basically. But we shot in Cape Town, and I live in Joburg, so it's like a 2-hour flight away. And the weather in Cape Town is really different. It's so unpredictable. It could be sunny, and then 2 minutes later, it's raining, thunderstorms, everything. And that's different from Joburg. Also, like the air. I don't know how to explain, but Joburg and Cape Town are really different, but it still felt like home. So that was really nice to shoot the film in South Africa. But I would love to maybe possibly shoot in LA. And yeah, Joel promised, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
But
Hopefully.
yeah, you never know. I think with that performance, I'm sure you'll be working with many different locations. But to that point about filming in South Africa, Joel, I'd love to ask you, what was it like? It was a beautiful scenery and everything else like that. Was the story just so naturally drawn to South Africa for you?
The reason we originally chose South Africa was, I mentioned to you that the idea came from an incident in China, but I had a former filmmaking partner, Michael Murphy, who produced the film along with Pantia and Bob, who lives in Cape Town, and said, hey, South Africa is the ostrich capital of the world. And I thought, well, okay, and that's on my bucket list of places to visit. So hey, let's see how that would work. And I was blown away by the beauty of the locations, but more importantly was the fact of the isolation of the place we found, because that's really like key to the story. This is a kid who is isolated in every possible way, and I wanted to amplify that isolation by taking him out of whatever, like Bobo says, the comfort zone, and putting him in a place where no friends, no family, no nothing, no trees. It was just, I wanted to be able to look as far as you could possibly see and not see anything but this house. And that was a choice made by the parents for a completely different reason. They wanted to get off the grid, and now they've got a kid who just desperately yearns to be on the grid, to be connected somehow. So that was what made the location work for me. It didn't work for production very well, because in order to be able to see forever in every direction, you don't know where to park your trucks. And you end up having to drive everybody 20 minutes or more just to get from base camp to the actual place that you're shooting. And so it was a bit of a production nightmare that everybody was incredibly grateful to me for. Not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think it informs the movie. I think it enhances it in some way.
No, I agree. I think it felt like you were right there. It felt like I took a vacation to South Africa. I think with how beautifully it was shot and how immersed in the culture, in the location the film was. So,
well, I'm being paid by the South Africa Tourist Commission. So if I can get one client, I'm going to earn my living here.
There you go. Get a kickback. Yeah. That's funny. I'd love to kind of just more broadly talk about this project as we're coming to a close here. A lot of times with creative endeavors, you give so much, but then in the end, working on something extremely creative also give something to you and you carry it into your next creative project or how you live and everything else like that. Joel, I would love to ask just more broadly, what do you think this project, Bird Boy, what's something you took away from this project that affects how you work in the future or just something you brought into your life?
In a word, I guess meaning, and I touched on that a little bit earlier, but I knew this was going to be a movie about a family coming together and about the building of this strange bond of friendship between this bird and this young man. But the thing that resonated for me most in the movie was this sense of finding out why you were actually born. Why am I here? What am I supposed to do with my life? As messed up as it might be, there's still a purpose in there, and you just got to find it. And when I realized the trajectory of the August character played by Bobo, I realized that's something that I can use in my own life, because we're constantly looking for meaning and purpose. And I think the root of just about every depression there is out there is not knowing why I should even be here. And so that's the big one for me.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing. And Bobo, how about you? Was there something that you were able to take from this project, either as a person or as an actor, in an educational sense?
What I would take from this is don't how do I put this? Sometimes don't trust Joel. Like, Joel is so playful to a point whereby even when he's playful, he really makes you believe it. Like, all of his stories, you're really gonna believe it. And he's a really passionate storyteller. So you can never really differentiate whether if he's lying or if he's joking or if he's telling the truth. So don't believe whatever Joel says, but sometimes do believe what he says. But this was a really nice experience. I learned a lot as a person and also as an actor. And like, I learned so much. I don't even know where to start. But one of the things that I learned is don't trust Joel completely, but do trust him sometimes.
I've never been so skillfully taken down by an actor before. I have to admit, I got nothing. I've got nothing.
I think that's extremely high praise. To be able to direct, you need to enter into worlds of fiction and really put your actor in a space to where they believe everything you're saying. So I feel like that is the highest praise for a director right there.
From now on, anytime I'm caught in a lie, I will just simply say that was a world of fiction.
There you go.
That's
easy.
all.
No, that's great. I would love to close our show with you guys describing and kind of walking us through your favorite scene in the movie. But of course, that would require spoilers. So we're going to take a moment here to pause. We're going to put something on screen. It'll have the QR code. I believe the URL, just to make sure I don't get this incorrect, it is angel.com/birdboylive. So scan that QR code, go watch the movie, and then come back for the spoilers, hear the actors' favorite scenes. But we'll go ahead and give you a moment. All right, so we're going to close the show with sharing our favorite scenes and why they're our favorite scenes. Bobo, why don't we start with you?
One of my favorite scenes, honestly speaking, it's all the scenes. Like, each and every scene was my favorite because of how well it played out. From beginning to the end, everything made sense. And I don't really want to spoil, but a scene that I can spoil is a scene that they cut off, which is the scene whereby the bullies grabbed me by the legs and then they threw me in the bin. And it really seemed hard to do and it sounded hard, but then the stunt coordinator made it really easy, told me how to land and all of that. But that was really my favorite scene. It's not really a spoiler. Sorry, I don't really want to spoil,
No, you're
but I would say that's one of my favorite scenes. I don't have a favorite scene. All of the scenes are my favorite, but that's one of my favorite scenes. And you won't see that in the film, but it's not a spoiler, by the way, but maybe you'll see some of the behind the scenes videos of that clip, hopefully. But yeah, it's not really a spoiler because I don't like spoiling.
No, that's totally all right. Thank you for that behind the scenes look, the deleted scenes look. Thank you for that. Joel, how about you? What was your favorite or most impactful scene?
Just speaking to Bobo's scene, I did love that we had the character thrown in a trash bin by the bullies, and then basically closed up in there to give the audience a sense of what it's like being inside an egg and being ready to rebirth in a way. Got a little too heady for this movie, so we ended up scratching it. But probably my favorite scene as a filmmaker actually didn't have the bird in it. There's a courtroom scene where the character August has a judgment against him and the bird and the family, wherein the bird has to be taken away and sent back to this meat farm, which is essentially a death sentence. And so the whole scene funnels down to just the verdict in Bobo's face. And if you watch his face in that moment, you see so many emotions playing all at once. You see horror and rage and sadness and defiance. And ultimately, the defiant part is what kind of comes through at the end. I don't know if you remember that, Bobo, seeing it in the movie, but every time I watch that, I'm going, that's the purity of acting. That's where you see an actor totally take command of a scene and just make it his own. And I can watch that 100 times without getting bored.
Thank you both so much for answering those questions. Now is part of the show to where you jump into our guild questions. So we gathered some questions from our Angel Guild. It's sort of a rapid fire segment. So we'll just go Joel, then Bobo, then Joel, back and forth, just as quick as you can. So these are the questions that our guild is wondering. The first question is: Would an ostrich make a good pet? Joel, what do you think?
Yes, but you got to be willing to suffer a little bit.
Okay. Bobo, what do you think? Do you think an ostrich would make a good pet?
Yes and no, because I'd say it would make a good pet. You'll definitely be entertained. But also, I'm saying no because some people just want to do it for just doing it. You need to be prepared for the consequences and the jobs you have to do. And you have to take care of the bird, obviously. So it's really hard to take care of a bird like an ostrich. And it's also dangerous at the same time. So yes and no.
Good answers, good answers. Bobo, this next question's for you. It's a bit of a deep question, but if I know someone in a situation like August, what can I do for him or her? So how do you speak into a situation if someone's going through something like August was?
Okay, what you can do, depending on where you are, because in South Africa, our orphanage system is different because you get passed on from family to family. Sometimes even neighbors take you in. But then from other countries, there's an orphanage home whereby you go. So I'd say try and talking to them and understanding the situation. Definitely involve an adult because my opinion versus an adult's opinion, it's totally going to be different. So definitely invite an adult in and make sure an adult intervenes, and try and look for orphanage homes like for them, and don't try and be August and taking in a ostrich. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
No, that's good practical advice. Thanks you, Bobo. Joel, what about you? How could someone, if they see someone in a similar situation like August, how could they best help?
I think it's a matter of really understanding the circumstance that the child or the person is coming from, because it really depends. If it's an abusive situation, obviously you need to get him away as quickly and as far as possible. But if it's a question of finance or a family breakup or the lack of family at all, I mean, they're different. You got to know the reasons. And a lot of people, I think, sometimes jump too quickly to solve problems that they don't really fully understand what they are. And so, my advice would be just tread cautiously.
No, that's great advice, and I love to both of your points. Is just both of your answers included just being present. You can just be a friend.
That's
Really, and
that's the answer I was actually going to come up with if I was really thinking about it.
No, it's great. No, all the answers were fantastic. But even if there's a person in your life like August, just like both of you were saying, just being present and just being a friend is an easy thing you can do, because that's really what August wanted. And I think with the bird, it just so happened to be his best friend. Yeah, there you go. But thank you both so much for actually. There's one more question. So sorry, the guild asked this question, so I have to ask it. But just rapid fire. Joel, we'll start with you. What's your biggest hope with this movie?
The biggest hope is it makes Bobo a huge star, so that Jimmy Kimmel has to stand there at the Oscar ceremony 2026 and go, the best actor is, and then he just looks at that guy.
Yeah, can't say the name.
Can't say the name. I would just love to see somebody like stumble over his name, but also seriously, just having this movie seen and touch somebody. You know, I've made a lot of films in my career that are what we call genre movies and action films and horror movies. They're designed to scare you or excite you or, you know, have an hour and a half of a pleasant time. But I think this is a movie that you hopefully come away inspired a little bit to do better things and be a better person. And that would be great.
No, that's perfectly said. Bobo, what are your biggest hopes for this film?
My biggest hopes for this film is for as many people to see it, because it raises an awareness. It's not just any film. There's a lesson to it. And some people, or I'd rather say most people that I know, relate to the character August. So it would be really nice if they also see the movie and also see that they're not alone. You know, they're not the only ones experiencing what August was experiencing. And my other hope for this film is to maybe shoot a second one where Joel is also my director, because if I get another one, I definitely won't shoot. There's no Bird Boy that can happen without Joel. And if it happens, I won't be there. And that's all I have to say.
I would only add to that I did receive, even though I got the worst put down I've ever had from Bobo, I also got at the end of the shoot probably my best compliment when he left me a little note that said, if anybody else had directed this movie, I would have punched them. So thank you for that, Bobo.
There you go. That is perfect. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time and joining us. if you watched the spoilers section of this show and still haven't seen the movie, that's okay. We forgive you. You can go to angel.com/birdboylive. And now you can watch the whole movie with a little bit of a spoiler behind the scenes look. But go there, sign up to be an Angel member, and watch Bird Boy today. I'd love to just finally close the show, just opening up the mic to Joel and Bobo, you both, just to let our Angel audience know what's happening in your world, if there are any new projects you'd like to share. Bobo, why don't we start with you?
What's happening in my life currently is school. That's what's happening. Yeah, for now it's school because we're reaching to the end of the year. So we're preparing for the finals and we only have like 2 weeks to prepare the whole term's work from the beginning of the year for each subject. So for now it's school, and then maybe after the holidays something will come up, but for now it's school.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Bobo, but I think you also have another film on the Angel platform. Is that correct?
Yes, on Angel platform. I think it got released 2 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, 2 or 3 years ago. And the film is called Tabo the Rhino Case.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, Bobo, you did a fantastic job acting in Bird Boy, and I have not seen the other film, but I'm sure it carries over into the other film as well. So, Angel audience, please go check that out on our platform as well. And another reason to sign up to become a member. But Joel, is there any update you'd like to give our Angel audience?
It's always perilous when you're making movies in this day and age where they're such fragile things. You're trying to get these things up and running with the financing and the creative side, and this very, very shaky mix of both. And I have a few things that are in that state, but I don't really want to jinx it by going, this thing's going and watch out for this thing in 6 months or any of that, because you really never know. If I stayed on the trajectory I'm on, I did a film earlier than this, one called Buffalo Rider, which was about kids who race water buffaloes. And now I have one with a kid that's running around on top of an ostrich. People are joking with me now that this is going to be basically my new career, is kids riding exotic animals. So I am thinking about Hippo Boy, because that just feels right to me. I don't know why. And Bobo, if you're up for it, man.
Well,
I never asked you. Can you swim?
Yes, I can swim. I'm a really good swimmer. I'm not perfect,
good.
But I'm good.
All right. Then Hippo Boy may be the next thing for both of us. Oh, okay. Truth be told, he doesn't want to do any of that stuff, really. The guy wants to be in Fast and Furious 18 or whatever the latest one is. He wants to race cars and be that guy, the Tom Cruise, Top Gun sort of dude. So anybody out there that's got that script, he's your man.
I mean, with
Right?
this one, it's sort
Right?
of, with this one, it sort of prepared me. The stunts with this one were like hard also. And this was like, I'd say personally, from behind the scenes experience, it was more of action, like mixed with a little bit of action. So this kind of prepared me for the tough action movies like Fast and Furious. So I'd say I'm prepared, but I don't mind doing Hippo Boy or Lion Boy or Giraffe Boy or anything boy. I don't mind doing it.
Fair enough.
No, that's great. We'll have to keep an eye out, Bobo.
You heard that. I got a commitment from him.
There you go. Yeah. Done.
First he calls me a liar, then he signs up for every one of my movies. I love it.
That's how it's done. That's so funny. Well, once again, thank you both so much for joining us. I think we'll end our show there. We'll go ahead and put up the QR code to sign up to become a member if you still haven't yet. But thank you both so much for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.